Resistance! Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. We are the official podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com, also known as TRB. We're the TRB3.
That's true.
I'm John Hoey. That's James Bainey. That's Lacey Gillerin. And we are here to talk to you about Star Wars because we love Star Wars. It's 2020, and yes, we still love Star Wars very much. Guys, how you doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Yeah?
Man, I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, you didn't. But there's a reason why James and I are wearing these shirts if you're watching on YouTube. James and I are wearing Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirts and a sweatshirt. And don't bother looking for James's sweatshirt on anywhere. We'll get that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. The reason why we're wearing it, and we're not huge on announcements. We don't like to tease things. We like to just really get to the point. We are announcing that we are going to be bringing back Make Solo 2 Happen Day 25 days from today on the actual anniversary of when Solo was released in theaters 2 years ago. So on Monday, May 25th, we are officially declaring it Make Solo 2 Happen Day. We're back, baby! Which means they're not making Solo, so we're back. We're back, coming back at it. I'm excited about this. We weren't really sure that we were going to be doing another one because the first one was a success beyond what we imagined. We only thought maybe we'd get 100 tweets or so the first time, and it obviously trended worldwide and in the U.S. at number 1 in the U.S. at one point and number 3 internationally, I think. But we know how it's a positive thing, and we know how much you guys love doing it. A lot of people have come aboard since we did it the first time, so we're gonna get more details to you in the weeks ahead, but just know that May 25th, Monday, we're gonna be putting out an episode all about Solo and Make Solo 2 Happen. Just have another day where we fire off the hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen on Twitter, Facebook, or wherever you are. Post pictures of how much you love Solo, why you love Solo, why you want to see a follow-up, and let them hear us. So are you guys excited to get back into this? We'll reveal more details later, but just in general, James, how you feeling? We're bringing it back.
Yeah, I think the big thing that you mentioned was we were afraid to potentially do another one just because the first one was successful beyond what we could imagine. I don't expect it to do what it was doing. I mean, the fact that you mentioned some things there, I think the idea behind it is just us having an opportunity to just like totally dive into it all day, just jump in head first. I know that it would, in a weird way, kind of be disappointing to the people who had so much fun last year doing this, because we have had people that said, "Hey, are you gonna do this again?" And a lot of people have talked about it on their shows and stuff. We've mentioned how it's kind of become the term for whenever they do make Solo 2 happen. It's the vernacular. So in a lot of ways, we just feel like it's part of our thing and it's what we do. So we'll do it again, successful or not. We're here for Make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah, Lacey, I know you are all the time putting out the hashtag, and we all are, but you love interacting with people over it, and I know you love positivity and fandom just as much as anybody, and this movement really did capture that. So are you you must be fired up that we're bringing it back, and we're going to have another day having fun online about Solo.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not wearing my shirt. But to be fair,
just tell the audio listeners you are. That's all.
No, I want to be truthful. But to be fair, I've worn it the past 2 Thursday episodes.
Yeah.
So I just chose the wrong weeks to wear it. But I have been wearing it.
Yeah.
No, I love
blue today, right?
I am.
There he is.
Well, no, this is 2016, so this is before The Last Jedi. So this is actually
I know, but it's still blue, old Luke shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Make Solo 2 happen. I love what it stands for. I love the positivity around it. And I'm excited to just talk about it again, and just have a day where everything's like fun, talking about Star Wars. Because I think it's very rare for someone to hate on Solo. I'm not saying there aren't people that do it, but usually the reasons they do it aren't because Solo's a bad movie. It's like tied to something else.
Right.
The one caveat that we have for listeners or people that want to get involved, just don't tag the creators. Don't spam them.
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine last time how crazy it was, which it's wonderful because they commented, a bunch of them, including Ron Howard, and we love that. But just let's not blow up their mentions.
Right.
Let's let them see it trending on their own,
Right. Yeah.
That's the only thing.
That is,
but other than that, like, have fun, post pictures.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah, it's a thing that came out of almost like a tongue-in-cheek joke of mine because it's so unlikely that they were going to make a Solo follow-up. So we thought it'd be a funny idea to make Solo 2 happen shirt, because for the first time since the first Star Wars movie, it's an underdog. Solo didn't perform as well, and we think it's a lot of it to do with marketing and that sort of thing. It was a very good movie. I think a lot of fans really liked it, and we noticed last year it was very positive online about it. Even people were like, "Oh, Solo was okay, but I'm down." It was a lot of support and a lot of good vibes, which is hard to come by these days. But so we're gonna bring it back and have some more fun again. Monday, May 25th, Make Solo 2 Happen Day is coming back, so get ready. Now, before we get into our first segment of the day, I'm gonna toss it to James now, because today is another big day for us that kind of ties into Make Solo 2 Happen, because you're gonna need some gear to post some photos on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. So James, what we talked about it, we teased it Monday. What are we getting into today so people can pick up some sweet gear from Make Solo 2 Happen and other stuff?
Well, we moved our site from a website called TeePublic to this one, which is Teespring. It doesn't seem like a very notable change, but it is. Talked a little bit on Monday about how most of this move has to do more with background stuff and us being able to do more with the product. But the big one, I think, for us is going to the store and being able to see that we have a new banner up. We have officially kind of refreshed our logo. So the logo just is like a little tweaked now, and it looks a little bit more current in my and our opinion. And then we've kind of figured out what we think is really what you guys want, as opposed to kind of overflooding you with like a ton of designs. We've picked out our best, and we've brought new designs, and these designs come from not like, hey, we should put shirts up because we're a real podcast and now those shirts are on our site. They're more like we've been working towards getting better and realizing what is good about Resistance broadcast merch, and so, or Star Wars merch in general, and this is like our cream of the crop, if you will. And just the way we've kind of laid it out and stuff. So I think at the end of the day, you might go over there and you might say, okay, this looks different, but it's still kind of similar. But just know that buying shirts and helping us out on this platform ultimately helps the podcast a lot more than it did on the other site. And we're really happy to be here now.
Yeah, and it makes them look really good, because they're cool t-shirts and they get to wear them. But so if you do want to get your Make Solo 2 Happen shirt or sweatshirt or what have you, you can get that now. We are at teespring.com/stores/resistance broadcast. We'll post a link. We'll have a link in our YouTube video and all that sort of stuff. But you can get your gear, and you order it now, and you'll have it in time to take photos and post them online for hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen Day. So we're excited about that, excited about this. But we're also excited about podcasting, as always. And this week we're bringing back a segment that's not called Will of the Force. So James, what are we doing this week?
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
John, this week we are doing Juan with the Force.
Juan. That's my name in Spanish.
Is it?
Juan.
What are these weird accents
I know my name
you guys
in-
have been doing lately?
I know my name.
Oh, I don't know, Lacey. You
French
tell me.
Is John said his favorite ride at Disneyland was or Disney World was Pirates of the Caribbean, and now I see why.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Yo ho.
We're doing one with the Force. All right.
Really bad.
For anybody that doesn't know, I'm gonna lay out a situation, and we give one answer, just one single answer. You'll get the idea. Here's the game. Name one actor or actress from Star Wars you would want to watch a Star Wars movie with. Lacey, you're going first on this. Who is your one actor or actress?
Mark Hamill.
And what? This side question. What movie?
Return of the Jedi.
Ooh.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
I like that way.
Job sail barge sells every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not part of the question, but that definitely puts like an interesting twist on it. That's a good answer, Lacey. I really like that one.
Think,
John.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Can I not explain why?
John, wait until she finishes her answer.
Right.
Go ahead, Lacey.
So I know that a lot of people are like, wait, what? You wouldn't pick Adam Driver? You wouldn't pick Daisy? I grew up loving Mark. I grew up loving the original trilogy. So if I had a choice, I would pick Luke Skywalker because that was the hero that like made me who I am. So that's why I picked Mark. And plus, he'd probably have really, really funny, hilarious stories from like their crazy productions back in the day. And I think that would be super fun to listen to. And he'd just do this the whole time with me.
Yeah, he would. Absolutely.
Love you, Mark.
My turn? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
I was going to say Mark Hamill, too, but I don't want to be repetitive.
Mark, pick me.
Harrison?
No.
You can say Mark, too.
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Hamill with A New Hope. The first one. And anytime he talks about that movie, it's very anecdotal, and it's always like something new. And it's always like, it'll be a subtle thing, like, oh man, I remember putting on that Stormtrooper helmet, and it was tight, and it ripped my hair out or something.
Do you have a
like,
Mark shirt?
No, I don't. I have a tattoo of him on my back to scale, actually.
No, you do not.
I love she asked that as though it's possible. Like, no, you don't, maybe. A little bit.
No, you don't.
Yeah, so I was leaning towards Jonas, actually, but I'm going to go with Mark Hamill.
Oh, that would be good too. One that I personally was leaning towards was like an Anthony Daniels and like maybe one of the prequels. But I think my actual choice, and it's a little bit of a risk, I think, because there's two possibilities with it. I'm going to go John Boyega, and I'm going to watch pick. Empire Strikes Back with him.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because I think that I see him sometimes when he talks about Star Wars, and it's like, he's like talks about his outfit, you know, and how he wanted it, and he saw the red stripe, and he's like, "Oh, that's my boy," you know what I mean? It brought him back to like Han Solo and stuff, and I think he would have fun watching Empire Strikes Back. Another one too is like you watch that trailer reaction he had where he jumps over the couch and stuff, and I'm like, man, I think there's a good possibility that the whole time he would just be like pumped with me, like he's like, I love this part, you know, and stuff. Like I think it could be really interesting. The reason I think it's a risk is because John Boyega is a social media junkie, and I feel like he could also watch the movie like this.
Dude,
like just,
honestly, probably.
Like you think it would be really cool, but he's just like in the room, like kind of on his phone, you know, not really doing anything.
If she was alive, I think a bunch of us would pick Carrie Fisher.
Oh yeah.
That would be amazing. Just to hang out with Carrie Fisher and like her genius, like crazy brain would be unbelievable.
She's so funny. Yeah.
And Attack of the Clones, I think, would be the go-to movie.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you would you watch A New Hope with her?
Empire. Yeah.
Empire.
I'd watch Return of the Jedi with her. I just would watch Return
Lacey,
of the Jedi with anyone.
Pick, I think.
So we each get a movie.
Yeah.
James can watch A New Hope with Carrie. I'll watch Empire, and Lacey will watch Return of the Jedi.
There you go.
Nice.
Or you both can just not, and I'll watch all of them.
All right. You know what?
All right, you get to be stationed on a rebel or resistant base. You get to choose between these options. You could be stationed on Yavin IV, Hoth, Dakar, or Ajan Kloss. Which one do you pick? John, which one?
Ajan Kloss. Because I feel like you have the least chance of being killed, because the other three had massive attacks, at least almost made to them, or they did happen. And it seems very, even though it's in like the jungle, it seems very like fun. Like, I even thought to myself, if they made like a playscape of Star Wars and it was the Ajan Kloss base from episode 9, and you had like the X-Wings here, the Falcon there, some weird cargo net there, someone's up on a rock reading a book there, and there's a training course and all this stuff. I mean, that sounds pretty cool to me. So, I don't know. I think I'm down with Ajan Kloss. Might be a little recency effect here, but I like it.
Like if they made a play place in Star Wars or in Disney somewhere, kind of like that old Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's
play
exactly
place.
what I thought about. Yes,
which they ripped down and put Galaxy's Edge in.
Yeah,
was that? No, that's been gone a long time.
No, they ripped that down for Galaxy's Edge.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing was there like in 2018.
They ripped it down for Toy Story and Galaxy's Edge. That, like the New York Street, the car show that was over there.
Interesting.
Basically, everything Muppets past Muppets got ripped down.
What's your pick?
Same pick, Ajan Kloss. I think it's the coolest one out of these. Hoth is super cold, and you have Wampas that'll just like kill you. And then Dakar got.
Who's gonna say Hoth? Seriously.
I don't know.
Some sadist.
But I don't know if it's like John said, it's a recency thing, but it just looked like the most beautiful space to be in. It's like super chill, and like even in their meeting space, it's like this really cool like ruins with vines, and like as you guys know, I'm like really into plants right now, so it's like my thing.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, I considered that one for the exact reason that John brought up, which was the like least likely to get attacked kind of thing. But before I thought of that, my actual first answer was Dakar. And the reason I thought about Dakar was because it appears to me that it's the most comfortable temperature.
It's the English
obviously
countryside.
Hoth is freezing, but Yavin IV and Ajan Kloss to me just look like humidity to the nth degree.
Fair.
Like it just, I bet it is so hot in their jungle area. It looked miserable to me. But Dakar looked like open and grassy. It reminded me more of the Shire. You know?
Yeah, it was England.
I'm like, I was like, that looks like a good base to be on. And at the end of the day, it did get attacked, but like, you know, it was more like they didn't have to fight for their lives. They had to get on a ship and hope to get out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question is, what character introduced in The Rise of Skywalker would you want to see return if they make more movies about Rey Skywalker? Lacey, this one's coming back at you, but this has to be a character that was introduced in The Rise of Skywalker.
This is kind of a two-piece, because I don't think you can have one without the other, which would be Zori Bliss and Babu Frick.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a two-piece?
Babu.
Yeah, Babu's always with her.
I feel like you're cheating a little bit.
I'm not really cheating.
A little bit.
Nope. I'd like to see them come back. I think Zori was a great character. Babu was hilarious. So I'd like to see that explored more, especially with the whole Poe thing, which we only got a glimpse of. It was like such a small little bit.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. John, who would be your character?
It was between Janna and this pick. I like Janna a lot. I think we will see her again. I hope so anyway. I thought that character worked. Her scene with Finn on the Falcon I thought was really good in one of the slower parts of the movie. But I got to go with Beaumont Kin.
I knew you were going to say Beaumont. I knew it.
I knew you were going to say Babu Frick. So, frick that. No, Beaumont Kin. I like Dominic Monaghan. I think he's a good actor. I like him in a lot of stuff he's been in. I even said that before The Rise of Skywalker came out. I liked how into it he was. I liked his lines. I know people are like, oh, he just said all those things. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. All right. I think he would be fun. I think I wanted to see a little bit more of him in the movie. He fits those types of fantasy storytelling from Lord of the Rings to this. I'd love to see Beaumont Kin still around and be part of the niche of the future of the heroes if they go forward. I think that could be a really cool thing, and maybe even let him get a little more involved. So Beaumont Kin is who I'd like to see.
So you like cloning and dark science?
No, I like people who know to identify those things.
It's not necessarily those two things, but secrets only the Sith knew. Yes.
Sith knew.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to do hold-on maneuvers and do some real damage, and frankly, I want to see that.
I didn't mean to bring up the Shire as some sort of connection to that. That was kind of unintentional. However, Beaumont Kin is my choice as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
You know, it is weird because I was trying to think of the characters that were only introduced in this movie, and I was like, he was like actually the first one that popped up. Then I thought about Janna, then I thought about Zori Bliss, and I was like, okay, those are good options too. Then I went to the Wikipedia and looked it up. There's a lot of characters who show up, but they're all droids and random background characters and stuff. For the most part, it really kind of comes down to like these four choices. And he was the one that I felt could kind of be like a cue to James Bond,
yes,
if you will.
Yeah.
Someone that would kind of inform the story, and you could take him along, and like she would be the brawn, if you will, and he would kind of, I don't want to say he'd be the brains, but he would be like the person that says like, this is the only way in. This is the way we got to do it, you know? So they go with his plan. But him knowing all these secrets and stuff, I think his character is really intriguing. He's kind of like the new Maz Kanata, if you will, for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, yep, that's it. We got one more though, and that is this is a weird one. This or that, you must choose one. All right, you're offered an on-screen cameo in a Star Wars movie with a line of dialogue, but if you take it, you're never allowed to attend a Star Wars celebration ever again. Obviously, we know this is kind of a stupid scenario, but it's fun to sometimes kind of put ourselves in these like hypothetical what-ifs. So I'm going to you, John, first. You get a line of dialogue, you get to be in a live-action Star Wars movie, but you can never go to Star Wars Celebration again. What do you choose?
I will see you on the YouTube stream, Star Wars Celebration. I am out. Put me in the movie. Give me the line. That's the deal.
That is the deal.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a weird kind of out on this one, but I want to see what Lacey says.
No, I want to see
Like
what you
cheap
say
out.
first.
All right. Well, my cheap out is I feel like at the end of the day, I could still have very much success going to all these other campaigns. What are they called? Conventions. Like, and still be able to celebrate with Star Wars fans and other things like that. So I kind of played the game as if like, no, you're not allowed to go on podcasts. No, you're not allowed to do interviews. you just know, and you can talk with your friends and people you know, but you're never allowed to like publicly be the center of attention because of it. And in that case, I would not be in the movie. But if it was just celebration, absolutely, I'd be in the movie. That's my answer.
This is tough. This is a tough one. I think this is the toughest one we've ever had. And reason it because obviously it's a Star Wars movie, so you'd be like, of course you'd take the Star Wars movie. But unless you've been to a celebration, you don't understand how wonderful it is and how much fun it is and how many friends you make there and how you have this like wonderful weekend where you belong and everything's wonderful and real life isn't bothering you and you get to connect with all these different people about the same thing. And it's just like, literally, it's like a warm hug all weekend. And I hate hugs, and that's what celebration is. So
Lacey's been practicing social distancing for years before.
It's just...
She's like, it's like a hot glass of milk. I hate hot glasses of milk. Like, what?
No, I'm saying, like, I hate hugs, but I accept that weekend is filled with hugs and, like, being friendly. It's like I give up my normal shenanigans for that one weekend, knowing that the positivity and the wonderful moments you have with people are worth maybe feeling a little uncomfortable with hugs.
So you're going with celebration?
No, I'm probably going to be in the Star Wars movie. Because it's a Star Wars.
Oh,
I said it was tough. But like James said, you could probably just go to other cons and be like, hey, where are all the Star Wars meetups?
It makes so much money selling autographs and photos.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on what your line is. Like, is it like a Babu Frick moment where you have like one line and everyone's talking about it? Or is it like, here's your pen type moment?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to get into like the nitty gritty of the situation, but...
Yeah. But that was my first thought, is I was like, you know what? Celebration is awesome and I love it. But at the same time, you know you're going to have those conversations and stuff at like a New York Comic-Con, a San Diego Comic-Con, like all these other conventions, that these people, I mean, they don't just go to Celebration. You see all these actors and stuff going to all these different conventions. So I tried to play the game as like there's no cheap out. Like the point is like you get no public recognition for it, but you're that guy, you know, you are the character. Yeah. So I kind of went with that, but yeah, I would do the movie if it was just Celebration. For sure.
I can imagine all the hate pieces about my character already.
Me too.
Yeah.
I just know
it. You know what people don't hate though? The Patreon Podrace.
That's true.
That's why we're gonna head to that section. We're gonna head to that section next. That's it for One with the Force.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon Podrace. So this is where you guys get to support us and be a part of the show. That being said, there are lots of ways you can support us. You can support us here on YouTube by liking, commenting, subscribing, on audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. And then you can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, etc. Or you can also be a part of our community on patreon.com/resistance broadcast. There's a ton of different tiers, different officers that you can be, which give you different access from mini episodes and Q&As, behind the scenes stuff, mailings, exclusive Discord channels, servers, stuff like that. And we have generals, which is our top tier, and they actually get to be a part of the show. So before I get into the pod race, I just want to thank the generals. So thank you to General Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, Michael Gaines, and Val Trishkoff.
Thank you.
14-year-old Val.
Thank you, generals.
So this week we had General Jeremy Myers for the pod race, and we asked him the following question, which he had 60 seconds or less to answer. And it was, with Star Wars Celebration looking unlikely to happen, would you like to see them postpone this one to a later date or cancel it and regroup for the year of the next movie in 2022, or both? Which one do you want? So Jeremy, take it away.
Hey everyone, greetings from the hospital here. Welcome the new TRB member to the family, 1 day old. little Olivia. I want to see Celebration postponed and pushed off to a little bit later date. I don't want to see it canceled. It was too much fun. I was looking forward to it. Hanging out with everyone, getting to see the panels again and all the new and upcoming news that we're going to be coming out. So, other than that, I don't want to see it canceled. It would not be fun. I don't know what they could do in 2022 that would make it worth it, but postpone it to like next April would be good. So we can all hang out at Disneyland, the convention. All right, bye for now.
Jeremy, congratulations. I can't. The resistance is growing. That is, we're so happy for you. Congrats on your new baby girl, Olivia. I love that you're rocking the TRB t-shirt in the hospital.
You're crying.
In the hospital. This is probably the most adorable pod race we've ever had. So thank you so much. John, what did you think of his answer?
I expected this answer out of Jeremy, and I kind of, put it out there because I love Jeremy's energy about Celebration. I think it's one of those things that kind of brought us, it is pretty much the thing that brought him to us in terms of being a fan of ours and a friend, was Chicago. And it's funny seeing photos from Chicago. I don't know that we have any with Jeremy, but he's in the background of a bunch of them. And just remembering hanging out with him there. So I wanted to get his take on this, pretty much knowing he was going to say he hopes they still do it, but just postpone it. And he did. And I'm with you. Jeremy. I hope they do keep this one around. And maybe if they do postpone it, the silver lining is that there's more stuff in production for them to tell us about, and maybe people will be a little less nervous because maybe they could pull off August, but it'll still be a little uneasy. If they push it a bit and everyone gets a little more comfortable, it might be the right thing to do. And seeing you with your baby and you taking the time having Olivia born and then you doing a pod race is insane. So congratulations to you and your family. Hope everyone's safe and healthy. And thanks for all of your support. Thanks for being positive and an awesome Star Wars fan and a part of the TRB fam. And now we have another generation. So buy her a microphone and see what happens. Thanks, man.
James?
I think I would hate to be, someone in charge of the celebration right now. Because I think ultimately we all kind of want it to happen. But I think the right thing is probably to move it back, because at the end of the day, you're going to have some people that don't get to go then, but you also are going to open the door for people that couldn't for whatever reason, oh, sorry, I'm getting married in August. I can't go to that. But now they can because it got moved to April. So at the end of the day, you're going to have about the same amount of attendance. It pushes us closer to the movies. Everything that they're planning on doing probably at this celebration just gets moved. That's a little more dead time, but I don't know. I think in the end, you're probably right. And, maybe it should happen. Thanks for being a general and doing the pod race. It's such a kind of an inconvenient, I don't want to say inconvenient, but you know what I mean? It's holy cow, most people would be like, yo, dude, I'm off for this week. Yeah, right. But I appreciate you still wanting to pop in and be a part of the show, so thanks.
Yeah, the funny thing about Jeremy is that I messaged him this topic on the Monday of the week, and I didn't hear back from him for a couple days, and I was like, oh man, I hope he saw this, because sometimes people just don't see him or they don't get the notification. So I followed up that morning being like, hey man, did you happen to see this? And then he announced in our Discord that he had a baby, and I was like, I feel like a scumbag. And then I quickly wrote back and was like, I had no idea, I'm so sorry, I don't want to seem like I nagged you. And he's like, no, he had no idea. So you were so nice, Jeremy, thank you. I think the best thing for them to do would be to postpone. I'm going to be honest, I don't want them to. I would be one of those people that would go because I really like Celebration. But I get why people want them to, and I could see it happening because from people on the inside, I've heard that they were kind of basing their decision on San Diego Comic-Con and what their move was going to be. And now that San Diego has canceled, I could see them kind of following that lead, especially given that the governor of California is like, yeah, we're not holding any events anytime soon. And I was like, oh, that's not looking good. But we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Again, congratulations. We're so happy for you. Thank you for being a part of the community. We hope you and your family are having a wonderful time with your new baby, Olivia. Very cool name. But yeah, now we're going to go to John for our Kessel run. I was sad for a second. I couldn't say discussione, but
you did anyway.
I did anyway. You're welcome. Kessel run.
You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? It's a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Hey guys, it's time to do a Kessel Run. And what this is, if you're new to TRB, we honor Han and Chewie and the gang doing the Kessel Run in Solo with a list of 12 for each parsec they did it in. And we pick a topic and put together a list between the three of us of the 12 that we think fit that the best. This time it is the 12 most evil acts in Star Wars. We teased it to you on Monday that evilness is coming. Well, there has been an awakening. Have you felt it? And this time it's very evil. So guys, Star Wars is nothing without great villains, and villains need to do evil things. So this Kessel Run is just pure evil. We have put together our list, and now it is time to give it to you. And don't forget, in the comments, leave your list. Let us know what your picks are, if they're different from ours, and let us know what you think of our picks as well. And don't forget, it's a good time to remind you guys, at 12 o'clock today, Eastern Time, US, we'll be heading to the comments section of the video on YouTube to discuss with you the Kessel Run, other topics from One with the Force, or whatever you want to talk about. Leave a comment. The three of us will engage with you and have a little bit of a back and forth, a little TRB chat time. So 12 o'clock in the comments on YouTube. But now it is time to get into our list. Lacey, you're going to go first this time.
Okay.
Most evil moments in Star Wars history. I know you're a big fan of death. In the Star Wars, at least self-proclaimed. What is your first pick?
Okay, that's taken way out of context. When I make these lists, I find that oftentimes what scares me is the death stuff.
Yes.
So every time we do a negative topic, I find, like creatures, I'm like, wow, these are all things that could kill me.
Right.
Oh, wow, sad moments. These are all things that someone has died.
Right.
I don't have a thing for death.
Right.
What is that?
Thanos did.
Okay. All right. So, my first pick is Krennic killing Jin's mom at the beginning of Rogue One. I thought that this was pretty evil in the sense that Galen ran away with his family, which, Star Wars is about family. It's about protecting who you love. He ran away so he wouldn't be a part of their evil plan, took his family away, tried to hide them away. Krennic found them, and instead of just taking Galen and leaving, he killed Jin's mom in front of her. I think that not only killing her is bad, but killing her in front of Jin was pretty terrible. It's just one of those, it's kind of interesting that it's kind of like the typical Disney movie where one parent dies in the first 5 minutes. And kind of sets the trajectory of the story, but it just sets the tone for Krennic of how he's willing to do whatever it takes to see his mission through and to get the power he wants, and that includes mowing people down along the way, even if it's a mother in front of her child. Which obviously he didn't know Jin was sitting there, but this was a very evil moment to do that, kill someone's wife in front of them. Oh my gosh. It's rough.
Yeah. James, thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you guys know I love Rogue One. I think Krennic is a very particularly evil villain. This scene to me was great just because of how careless he was about the whole situation. Clearly lying to Galen, clearly lying to both of them. And And at the end of the day, he's like, don't pull the trigger. And then she's still thinking about it. And he tries to say like, hey, I care about you and I care about your family. I want to take you back. But at the same time, he's like, well, if you're going to point a gun at me, then fire. He kind of just like so casually tells him, just do it, and it's so crazy, like just how carelessly he cares about these people who are supposed to be his friends. I think the beginning of this movie so perfectly sets up like these guys have a relationship, and one is clearly aware of the true relationship of it, and the other one is totally faking it, and it's just so good. I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It gave me shades of New Hope when, we'll get into that later, I guess, but kind of getting forced back into a situation, I'll put it that way. All right, you or me?
I can go.
All right, lay it on me.
This one is a little spoilery if you haven't read the novel. So if you haven't read Phasma, maybe skip ahead for just a second. But I think one of the craziest things about that novel is really uncovering who that character is. And while she gets often overlooked as a character who was misused or underused or something like that, I think going and reading this novel will really show you how villainous and how terrible of a person she is. Because in order to get where she needs to go, she plans for both of her parents to be killed, and she permanently disables her brother and then kills her brother. Like, so she permanently disables him in order to become like the leader, and then when she is the leader, she leads him down the path of being killed. And it's all for self-preservation, and it just really highlights how little she cares about anybody or anything other than herself.
Yeah.
It's so terrible. Like, it's a great book, though. I do recommend. That's not the climax of the book necessarily. It's more about uncovering, the process that she goes to. But man, Phasma, bad egg.
Really bad egg. She killed Brendel Hux too, right? For him.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing about
with the help of his son.
Right. Another bad guy. Phasma is interesting because of the whole discussion of underutilization in both movies she appeared in, and then when you parallel that to the events of that novel, it's just, you don't want to use the word missed opportunity. You understood how evil she was because of the ordering of the killing of the villagers and all that stuff. You got it. You understood it, but you didn't really see it. And maybe if we saw a little bit more from her, it would have added a little more weight to that character's presence in the movies. She was more of a lower level tier type of soldier in a sense, even though she was in charge of the troopers. But that's a good pick. Anytime, that's Shakespearean tragedy stuff right there when you talk about killing your own family members or plotting and that sort of stuff. So good pick. Delilah S. Dawson right in that one, right? Yeah. All right, my first pick is the destruction of Alderaan by the Death Star, ordered by Grand Moff Tarkin and overseen by Vader as well. And I need to preface this because I think James and I talked about this off air right before we recorded tonight. Why didn't you pick the Hazian system? Because there's 5 planets being killed there. The reason I picked Alderaan is just because of 2 reasons. One, they chose it as a test. And that it's like when you test something, and that's not supposed to be a big deal, but they're like, let's test this thing, not by blowing up a giant asteroid or anything like that. Let's blow up a planet of billions of people as our test. And number 2, they made Leia watch as they did it. And that is just such a level of evil that you can't really understand. And you can take, in real life, you can say, this dictator killed this many people and this guy only killed this many people, and make the argument for the Hazian Prime and the Hazian system being more evil. But inside storytelling, what we're seeing, we're watching Leia and we're watching her watch her parents and her planet get destroyed. That has more weight to me and more evil. And you see Tarkin's face and you see Vader holding her there to make sure she's watching, and then you realize he's her dad. Like, there's so many things that can go into that scene when you go back and watch it again. So the destruction of Alderaan's my first pick in the Kessel Run.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty evil.
Pretty messed up.
I don't know what's more evil, watching your mom get killed in front of you, or watching not only your whole family get killed, but like everybody that you know and everybody from your home planet. Like,
probably the latter one
takes a whole nother level, right? Because you're like, okay, there's one person, and then yeah, no, that was really bad, especially because, like you said, John, the big indicator is like making her watch while they do it.
Yeah.
It's just, so evil. So evil. And then they ended up torturing her anyway.
It's like, do you guys ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
No.
Nope.
Never mind.
Good reference.
Okay. All right. My next one is Shmi Skywalker getting tortured in Attack of the Clones by the Sand People, which, interestingly enough, now when we look at Sand People based on Mandalorian, we're like, how did those people do this? But I'm going to go with what I know of in Attack of the Clones. For me, watching it the first time, it was very shocking, because even though we see people die all the time in Star Wars, stormtroopers get shot, this person does this, whatever, it was very gruesome what they did to her. They like cut down her face, they had her tied up for days, like there was just a lot there to unpack. And for me, it felt very much like, oh, this is the most graphic, violent they've gotten with Star Wars at this point, because even like when Luke lost a hand, you were like, oh my god, he lost his hand, but like he still appeared okay, and like he got a mechanical hand, he's all good. Like, she was tortured, and it was so brutal that Anakin was feeling it for days, that how much pain she was in. So yeah, it was, I like can't get the image of her face out of my mind. Like, all these years later, I still think of her face and how bad it was. And I remember being like, why would they include this? But it's necessary for him to take that next step towards the dark side. But yeah, it was pretty evil.
What's interesting about this particular pick, Lacey, is before I saw that you wrote it down, I had been writing down a list of things that I thought were some of the most evil. And one of the things that made my list, my short list, if you will, was Anakin going on a rampage, killing all the Sand People.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that is coming from a place where you mentioned the Mandalorian, like these people are kind of, maybe they're not all there, and he's still like just going, he doesn't even care.
The kids, yeah.
But I think when you read, or when you wrote that in the show notes, I said, you know what, at the heart of it though, I think that's the bad thing. Because seeing how terrible of a situation she was in was the thing that just made him want to figure out how to justify this. How to, if they're going to do this to me, then I'm going to have to do that to them. And I don't even think at the end of it, he still feels like it was an even trade. Like, he killed the women and
them
the children
quickly,
too.
Yeah.
And he still didn't feel like that was a justifiable act in comparison to how terribly they treated her.
Yeah.
I still don't get it. It's still one of those things that I'm like,
well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Do we know
what I mean?
Like how bad was it?
Well, I think
did he misread the situation.
I think it's one of those things where she hung on. It's like when someone hangs on
just to say goodbye.
Just for their spirit just stays alive, just to say goodbye or one last, whatever. And that was that. She was gone, but she just hung on there just at the hope that she may get to see him again to try to like let him know like it's okay or I love you and that sort of thing.
It's brutal though.
Yeah. All right, James, we have 4 in, so we're a third of the way through the Kessel Run. Hope everyone's enjoying their ride. Pick 5, James. What do you got?
All right, it has to do with Jabba the Hutt, and it's the fact that he has slaves, which is one bad thing. But on top of him having slaves, he has slaves that are chained by the neck, which is also pretty bad. Then on top of that, he forces those slaves to perform and dance as like puppets and toys. And if that's not bad enough, if he doesn't like how it's going, he feeds them to the Rancor for fun.
Evil dude.
I just started, because I write down like the summaries of each pick, and I was like, there's a lot of layers to this. That shows how evil it is. Like, people like to, they like the Leia slave look and stuff like that, and all young men did growing up, and I completely get that part. But then you think about like the Twi'lek and the dancer and the other people that he's probably gone through, and it's probably like the old court jester days where if you didn't make the king laugh, you're gone. In that sort of style.
Does he have a budget though on metal bikinis? Like, does he have a closet that he just like kind of like? He's like, yo, got a new girl, take her to the closet, dress her up, bring her out. He's probably got because then he's feeding them to the Rancor and he's losing all these bikinis. He's got to have a crazy budget.
A blacksmith he probably has that he make them. Yeah, in the back room there with all that like that melted metal, hot metal that they're hitting the droids with.
They might be melting.
The droids are just melting into bikinis.
Maybe they make the bikinis out of the droids. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like on top of it, like I could have imagined scenarios where like this didn't happen in the movie, but like Leia's bikini would have been made out of R2. Like just another layer of like now you have to wear your friend.
Right.
It's like
that's a good pick. Jabba is evil, and that sometimes gets overlooked by all the other chaos going on around Jabba and his situation. Let alone having frozen people as wall decorations.
He's so gross.
Good pick, James. That is evil, and we do not miss you, Jabba. Though we hope you see I
miss
Solo
him a little
too.
bit.
Yeah, I hope you see in Solo too, maybe. Yeah.
He's all right.
Yeah, bring him back a little bit. I take that back. All right.
He's not that bad.
Pick 6. We're halfway there. I'm going with Kylo Ren killing his father, Han Solo. The evilest of evil deeds, obviously killing your own dad, but also just kind of how it happened. You know that when Han walks out there, he knows that it is risky, but I, in my heart, believe that Han really thought that he was reaching his son and he was going to bring him back. And Kylo Ren said, will you help me? And he holds it out, and then he just ignites that thing through his chest and kills him. And the light goes down, and it turns dark and red, and Chewie has to watch it happen and fire on Kylo Ren. Just that whole scene, there's really, you don't really need to explain why it's evil. It's just a dark moment in a really fun movie that brought a lot of heaviness to the end of that film. And obviously I love Han Solo, so seeing him get killed is rough, but seeing it happen at the hand of his son is even rougher.
Yeah, this is one of those scenes that it just, when it happened, you didn't think it was going to happen. Like, I went into The Force Awakens being like, oh, Han's probably going to die at some point, based on what we've heard and known of Harrison Ford and stuff like that. But I didn't think he was going to go that way. And when it happened, I was like, oh, this guy's bad.
Yeah, like, you want to establish your new villain? That's how you do it, folks.
Kill Han Solo.
It's way better than like the Falcon blowing up or something stupid, you know?
Yeah, which everyone thought was going to happen. Yeah. I don't know. Pure evil. Yeah. All right, Lacey.
Great pick.
Thanks. Start off the second half here. Pick 7.
So pick 7 would be Luke's aunt and uncle getting killed. I know you're seeing a theme here, guys. Death. I just think that this is another one of those scenes that kind of stuck with me ever since I first saw Star Wars New Hope. Like, just the barbecued carcasses of his aunt and uncle is just such a jarring sight when he comes back. Like, you think, like, oh, he's going to find them hurt or maybe dead. But, like, they're not just dead. They're, like, dead. Like, to the point that, like, their bodies are even posed in a way that, like, they were, like, kind of scared or defensive.
No force healing happening there.
No, and it's just very shocking. Which is... Ultimately, it's needed in the story because it's that hero moment, like Uncle Ben with Spider-Man, where he has to go on his path to becoming the hero. But it's heartbreaking that these are the people that raised him. And he feels partially responsible because he went off with the droids. But it could have been him. So, yeah. No, it's evil. Stormtroopers, Empire, evil. And this is just an example, one of the examples of why. They don't care.
You know something you don't think about on an everyday basis, but they didn't come in there and say, like, hey, we know you know where Luke and the droids are and stuff, so we're just gonna kill you. You know, they were like, I don't know, like questioned, like, tell us where they are, and they're like, well, we're not gonna tell you. You know, it's kind of like they. I mean, there's always the chance that maybe I don't know, I guess maybe they might have been like, we don't know, he left this morning, and they just didn't believe him. But I guess I tend to think that they were, like, I don't know, like, defending him. Like, it was kind of one of those things where, like, they gave up their life so that he would be safe, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a vibe that I've always gotten from it. Even if, I don't know, I guess I maybe could be persuaded on that one. But either way, it's terrible. Right?
Yeah. It's, I mean, you know, we talk about the gruesomeness, like Lacey just said, you see their skeletons. It's just like crazy. And you don't even want to think like how it happened, but like sometimes a good movie and storytelling, you don't need to show the gore, you just show the end result and you let your imagination do the rest. And that's some dark stuff, without a doubt. Especially, probably the first serious thing that happens in a Star Wars movie ever. there it is. So good pick there, James. You have pick 8 here. We have 5 to go. What is the next most evil moment in Star Wars?
That one was Lacey's pick. My pick is Order 66.
Yeah.
I think there's a bigger reason why Order 66 is bad, and I know the future. I know one that John is going to talk about, so that's a bigger reason to Order 66. But let's talk about the heart of it, which is this dude just thinking that his way to control the galaxy is better than their way to control the galaxy. So therefore, I'm going to spend like years and years and years planning a way to just make sure that all of them or anybody of this that is remotely a threat to my power is just killed. And it's all going to happen in a matter of like minutes, practically, galaxy wide. Like, what a freaking crazy thing to try to organize and to be the person who has the ability to pull the trigger at any moment and like not even blink at it and be like almost be like excited about it. Like, now's the time. I'm so pumped on this. It's gonna happen. And then just like everybody else is feeling this terrible, like they're, you know, grabbing their chests. They're like, oh my God, what's happening? Something's happening across. We can all feel it. And I don't think they really show it, but like he's sitting there and he can feel that in the Force and he's loving it.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
Sitting behind his computer desk in that chair, just fully embracing everything. Especially in the way it plays out in Revenge of the Sith, where just like you said, at the flip of a switch, all of a sudden Commander Cody's firing upon Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was like his friend in this battle against the Separatists, which was all this set up anyway. And then seeing the other Jedi and the one getting the Top Gun move pulled on him, where they go back and fire on her, and Plo Koon and everyone just getting mowed down in all these scenes, and Kia Adi Mundi tries to fight him off, and then you see the kid Jedi who's played by George Lucas's son trying to fight him off, and Bail Organa's like, and so it is. All right, I'm out. I'm like, just like, okay. That whole scene and the music that's playing is very emotional and dark. I like
they played it in the Clone Wars episodes recently.
Yeah. Yes.
It's messed up, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one. That's a big one. Order 66, without question, evil, especially with how long he had been planning that out, which kind of goes nicely into my next one, which I will just say straight up, Palpatine's manipulation of Anakin Skywalker. Again, a long, drawn-out, played-out thing, but seeing this young boy and knowing at the age of 8 his powers and abilities and what you were going to do to manipulate him and turn him into an evil person, I think is the sickest form of anything you can imagine anyone doing. Any kind of like child abuse and anything like that is the most evil of actions I think that could exist ever. And it starts with him saying, we'll follow your career with great interest. And as being that that's a prequel, what he's talking about there, and how he just kept festering these things into his brain and almost conditioning him into what he turns out to be. And you wonder if Plagueis kind of did the same thing to him, even though it's not canon anymore. He had killed his parents and that sort of thing, kind of like the Phasma situation. But Palpatine manipulating Anakin Skywalker to ultimately become Darth Vader. Again, like 66, but on a one focused personal level, a long drawn out plan. It's my third pick.
Which is what I was mentioning earlier. I think the whole thing behind Order 66 is the manipulation of all these different people, like including clones. It's like I'm putting chips in your brain and stuff. But the manipulation of all of that focused in on one person was your answer, and that's perfect. A great answer.
Yeah. Lacey, thoughts on Palpatine targeting and manipulating young Skywalker?
Yeah, it's messed up. He's
That's
a terrible
the answer
person.
to like all of our
Right.
I know, but I'm saying that because it kind of plays into mine. Am I able to go into mine? Like,
Sure.
I have a feeling the next few ones are going to be related to Palpatine because he's that evil, guys. Like, he is the most evil person in Star Wars. And my pick is actually something from the sequel trilogy, which is very recent, which is from the Rise of Skywalker, Rey's parents being killed. We're talking about Palpatine's own clone son that he had hunted down and murdered because of Rey. And not only just murdered, like stabbed to death. Like, there are many ways that you could do this. As you guys know through my list, there are many ways people can die. Being stabbed is definitely one of the worst ones. Like, that's a very passionate crime of just pure evil, like, just craziness. And then to know that act then resulted in Rey being left on a planet by herself at such a young age, which then left her to starve and be by herself and just spend her childhood not knowing what love was, is what ultimately, like, she then goes into even worse situations after that, But yeah, no, Rey's parents getting killed is definitely one of the most evil things in Star Wars because it just sets her on a path of sadness and just terrible stuff. This has been fun.
Yeah. It's a good one. I read this one on your list and I thought, yeah, that's pretty terrible that somebody killed Rey's parents. But what didn't connect to me until you said it aloud was the fact that the person who ordered the hit was the parent of the person. You know, I think that definitely makes it a lot worse. Because I don't know, I guess I was just thinking like, oh, Rey's so sweet and somebody killed their parents. That's not good when somebody kills your parents. But when you flip it and say like that a person ordered the hit on their children or, you know, and his daughter-in-law, if you will, it's like, I don't know, man. The guy's just clearly just messed up.
Yeah.
It does not care. Even when you get to the end of Rise of Skywalker, it's all about trying to restore him, or it's all about trying to like preserve his own life. And throughout the movie, he's like, kill the girl. You know what I mean? He's like, I never wanted you dead. I wanted you here. And it's like, get out of town, man.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Imagine Palpatine just
Go
like,
live on
I never
some
thought about
backwater
that.
planet and go build your own cult or something.
Yeah, he's like, all right. Since you put it that way.
Yeah.
All right, James.
Messed up, man.
You have pick 11 in the Kessel Run. A lot of evil being talked about here. What is your final pick in the list?
Lacey's right. It does have to do with Palpatine. I actually don't know if there's... I'd have to go back and do my research if there's a specific person that pulled the order on this. But my last pick is the genocide of the Geonosians. I know they're like ant creatures or insects, but I really don't think these were bad people. They had a leader who kind of led them into down the wrong path, but I don't know, like the Death Star was supposed to be built by this group, and then they were supposed to be built by this group, and it was all for something that they believed in. And at the end of the day, just because they were the people that knew how to build it, and they could potentially build it for someone else to have like a competitive Death Star, they were like, well, now that we have the Death Star, we have the plans, we just want to own it and we want to keep it to ourselves. So eliminate everybody who has any sort of connection to understanding how that thing might have been built.
Yeah.
And another thing to mention too, really quick, is like when you watch Rebels, like there's a Geonosian character in that show who's really only there to try to preserve his species. He's trying to protect the egg so that they can live on. It's really sad. But you see, like they basically poisoned him. They just put a poison on the planet that made it so they couldn't live. Like an insecticide, if you will. And Dr. Aphra goes to the planet and she leans over to like one of the bodies, and like bodies like hanging out like they were grasping for air. You know, it's so messed up.
Yeah.
It's like they hired these people for the job, and then when they completed the job, they're just like, oh, you're just a loose end, and just like eliminated their species.
I think that's
not good.
I think that's a good pick because, you know, to your point, what they did and what they spent their life doing and their time doing was helping someone else's plan. So it's not like they even had their own ideas and their own lives that they were enjoying. They were doing this work for this other person, and there were no fruits to that labor. It was just death. Mm-hmm. So whereas like on Alderaan, you know, those people got killed, but they were living on a nice planet and they were a peaceful society and they probably had some good times. These people were just doing this labor to build this weapon, and they thought that eventually it would lead to a benefit for them and their planet and their species, mm-hmm. and nope, didn't happen. So no enjoyment whatsoever, and then it ends in that way. And I do like that sort of thing that a Rebels type of show can help, is a quick, maybe little side character saying, this will help you sympathize with these people when you watch Attack of the Clones or something like that. And it doesn't have to be a big deal that shifts or changes anything. I like that. So good pick. Good job. Now last pick, pretty brutal. Anakin killing the younglings in the Jedi Temple who were hiding in that room. And disturbing, and obviously Lucas wasn't going to show it in detail. You see shades of stuff on the holograms or whatever, but Anakin walking into the room and the one kid coming out from behind the couch thinking he's there to help them is really the worst part of it, because that kid probably was filled with relief that they saw their hero Anakin walk into the room, and he's the one that's going to end it. And then when he lights the lightsaber, the kid gets so scared and thrown back. It really affects me, especially being a dad now. And there's other personal reasons why I don't like this scene too, I won't get into. But it's just a really dark scene. I'm surprised Lucas went there, but I guess he had to. Especially for a guy who says it's all about family and hope and stuff like that. He had to make his dark end for his fallen hero. But this is the most evil thing that I could think of for my list. Anakin killing the younglings in Revenge of the Sith.
I agree.
Yeah.
That is the most evil thing you can do is killing babies or children. Like that you can't come back from that. That is the worst of the worst. It's so evil that you can't even say youngling at Disney World. Like, that's how bad that scene is they won't say youngling.
That's
not true.
World.
Really?
That's what they said.
No, that was a bad rumor.
Are you sure? There is a video where the cast member says they can't say it.
Well, we'll test it out when we go.
Well,
Yeah, we should test it out. Anyway, long story short, it's really, really terrible. I don't even watch that scene. I skip over it if I ever watch the movie because I just can't deal with it. So yeah, good pick. It's messed up, man.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was like a BuzzFeed article that was like top 10 worst things, there's no way that's not number one, you know?
Right.
Because I think it's the thing that most people associate with being like the most like surprisingly brutal thing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
Even as you were talking about earlier, like the destruction of a planet, sometimes you're like, yeah, we didn't see anybody, we didn't know anybody on those planets and stuff. And then you see like one individual, one person, but you've been following them for so long, it feels worse.
Right.
People even said that about Kylo Ren, you can redeem Darth Vader because we didn't see any of that stuff, but we saw Kylo Ren do some of this stuff. So therefore he's irredeemable. But I still think at the end of the day, like this is one of those things that like, we all know it happened. And it's bad.
Yeah. And
it's not a good thing.
It helps create the villains that you need for good storytelling, though, and that's what this list is all about. It's not us enjoying the evil moments, but it's great for building up those villains that Star Wars has. And obviously a lot of these moments had to do with Palpatine, of course, because he's the big baddie. But the quick rundown of our list as we finish up the Kessel run here: Krennic killing Jin's mom in Rogue One, Phasma killing all of her family, whether it's orchestrating or doing it herself, destruction of Alderaan by Tarkin as Leia watched, Shmi Skywalker being tortured by the Tusken Raiders, hanging on until Anakin arrived for a final goodbye, Jabba enslaving people with chains by the neck. If they don't do that, he has them eaten. Not good. Kylo Ren killing his father Han Solo in The Force Awakens, Owen and Beru being killed in A New Hope, Order 66 in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine manipulating Anakin Skywalker to becoming Darth Vader, Oshi killing Rey's parents at the order of Palpatine, the father of Rey's father, Geonosian genocide, the wiping out of a species, and finally Anakin killing the youngling. So that is our list for the 12 most evil moments in Star Wars. Let us know what you think about our list. What is on your list that wasn't on our list? Let's have a discussion about it. Again, remember, 12 o'clock on YouTube. If you want to hop in the comments, we'll talk with you about it. And hit us up on Twitter at RBATSWNN or email us, whatever you want to do. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Kessel Run. But now it's time to put on a happy face and send it over to Lacey to get into Resistance Transmissions.
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So hopefully after all that evil, we can laugh a little bit. So, the way this works...
Oh, they're all dead.
No, nope. Not at that. So the way this works is every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers. And I've never read the situation. I don't know what's going on. Do I know how to read? That's another question. But yeah, I read your answers. And we'll see how it goes. So, the scenario is Anakin Skywalker accidentally posted his address to Spacebook. I see what you did there, John. This led to someone breaking in and stealing his lightsaber. Which Star Wars character stole it, and what did they do with it? First up is Cam Ray, at Cam Ray, who said, "From my son Jonah, no Twitter, no handle, but let's say he got his handle." Way to go, Jonah. Way to get your handle. He said, "It was Rex, so he could be a Jedi, and Ahsoka couldn't brag about outranking him."
Hey. Good call. Give Rex a saber.
Next is MSWLD at Bloody Ormy. Whoa, what is that? They said the Jawas from Arvala 7, their plan was to ransom it for some sweet, sweet suka. Suka! Furry Cadbury egg.
Would you eat a furry Cadbury egg?
It depends what the fur's made out of.
Hair.
No.
Huh.
Gross.
All right.
Would you?
Would you rather be in a Star Wars movie with the one line or eat a Cadbury furry egg?
Be in Star Wars with one line. Oh, jeez.
That
All
egg
right.
looked pretty good, though.
Ew.
Just kidding.
Next is David Probus, General Greybeard, at PB... Oh, I always do this. PBuffDaddy00. And he said, "Grievous, cough, cough. Skywalker, I have added your lightsaber to my collection. Anakin, why mine? You should go after Mace. He's the one who made you sound like you smoke 40 packs a day. Grievous, Windu is scary. Anakin, check outside Palpatine's window in an hour."
Oh, man.
Woof.
Yeah.
All right.
Yikes.
Next is Micah Harrison at Micah X Machina, and he said Kylo Ren, because anytime he plays at his granddad's, he always got to take it too far and be like, "That lightsaber, it belongs to me." Such a punk.
He is a punk.
Yeah.
Next is Scott Gibson at Scott Gibby, and Mello at A Grey Jedi said Maz Kanata. She thought it might come in handy for the good story for another time. That Maz.
She likes her stories.
She's turned into a character now that steals everybody's stuff for a good story. I always see this online. Next is Adam Odell at Odell Adam, who said a Force ghost youngling who lost their life to the saber stole it and turned it in as evidence to the local Coruscant police precinct. That sounds like a really crazy Lifetime drama.
Yeah.
The Ghost Detective.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good for the youngling learning how to become one with the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is Alex Zukas at Zubaka, who said Jacked Fish blows his way through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man, takes the lightsaber, and cuts an exit out of Anakin's apartment. Jacked Fish, now with bulging biceps, ripped pecs, and a laser sword.
Jacked fish.
Wow.
I love the description. Bulging biceps, ripped pecs.
If you're a resistance officer, you can get a jacked fish sticker.
You could. Mark at Dekine Vacans. I almost said Mark at Doc Ondar stole it. That's the guy from Galaxy's Edge, right?
Yes.
He is currently protesting the First Order lockdown on Batuu so that he can sell Anakin's lightsaber. He would also really like to get a haircut. You and every other person currently.
Yeah, I'm going to buy stock in like scissors or something.
And last but not least is Todd DeLorean de Grossier at Todd Knows Best. He said, the galaxy may never know the answer to this question. And then he put in like kind of like an action, like a script. Mechanical coughing intensifies off in the distance. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. John puts up a situation, and then you guys give your answers, and you can make it on the show. But yeah, back to you, John.
Guys, thank you so much for sending those, especially when we do a Kessel run about evil things. Enjoy the laughs. Appreciate that. Keep them coming. Resistance transmissions every week. Good stuff. Make sure you are subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. If you are new to TRB, welcome. We appreciate you joining us. Share it with friends. If you have friends that like Star Wars, send a link to them about the show. And that's how we grow, because of you guys. So we appreciate that. Make sure you're going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And James talked about it before. The shirts, you know where to go to get them. But make sure you get your Make Solo 2 Happen shirts soon so that you have them in time for Make Solo 2 Happen Day on May 25th, because it's back, baby! If you want to talk about it, hit me up on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and I'll be over at StarWarsNewsNet.com as well. James?
I'll be on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
LG?
People can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lacey Gillerin.
Guys, that is the end of this episode of the Resistance broadcast. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We hope everyone's hanging in there. We're going to be turning the clock to May, and hopefully things start getting better for all of us. But enjoy your weekends as best as you can, and we'll see you on Monday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye.